So let's have a quick demonstration of the process of the selection of ground motions from the peer ground motion database, Pacific Earthquake Engineering Research. This ground motion database have this link is available, so you can go to this link and then you can fill a selection criteria and then you can download those ground motion files. So let's go through this process now. I will first show you some screenshots and then I will actually open that link and then show you the process. The very first step, if you sign into that ground motion database, is that you have to select the target spectrum. If you want no scaling, for example, if you want to modify the ground motion yourself later, then select no scaling. Otherwise, if you want to provide your own spectrum, user-defined spectrum or peer spectrum, this is the spectrum from this guideline, then ASC code spectrum options are available. So the program can automatically plot these two spectrum, but you can also give your own user-defined spectrum. That spectrum will be used to actually scale the ground motions, which then you can download. But let's see, this is the first option available. For our demonstration, I think we will go with no scaling because we want to modify those ground motions later ourselves. And then if you go for the ASC code spectrum, then you have to provide the STS, SD1 and TL. These are basically the three inputs required to construct the target spectrum. If you remember, the target spectrum was such that all the equations were in the form of STS and SD1. So these are the two main parameters required. This time where it changes the shape of the spectrum is also the function of STS and SD1. This is also the function of STS and SD1. This point where there is TL, this TL have to be provided. So this TL have to be provided. So these are basically the three inputs required to construct the ASC code spectrum. So if you provide any values, it will plot you this spectrum and then it will use this spectrum to scale the ground motions. Then this is the main selection criteria form which you have to fill in order to download the ground motions. I will go now to the actual ground motion database link to explain all of these parameters. Okay, so this is the form which you have to fill and then I will come back to that later. So let me skip now and go to the actual link. So okay, now this is the link ngawest2.berkeley.edu. You can use that to actually access these ground motion databases. So we will go for NGA West 2. So let me click on this button. It will take me to the web app for the ground motion databases. If you click it for the first time, then it will ask for the registration also. So I have already done that. So I am already login into that system. So it is freely this system is free, so you can just perform that registration. So the very first step is target spectrum, as I have shown in the slides also. So you can see no scaling, peer spectrum, ASC code spectrum, and in between them is the user spectrum. If you go for user spectrum, it will ask you to upload a file. You can download an example file here, which can be opened in excel.csv file. And you can just download that example file and modify the values according to your site and then just upload it. And it will read these values and construct your own spectrum. But for the purpose of this demonstration, let's select no scaling, which means that we will be actually downloading the raw ground motions which are as recorded without applying any scale factor. Okay, and then we can modify those ground motions ourselves later using either Seismomatch or eTabs. There are, I will basically demonstrate two methods, two ways to actually modify those ground motions. So currently I am selecting no scaling. I want to download as recorded ground motions and I click submit. Now this should take me now to the form. This is the main selection form or selection criteria which you have to provide, and then the database is filtered. It will filter out all those ground motions which will match this criteria. If you want to search the ground motion with event name, for example, you can give the earthquake event name or station name or record sequence number. This is a special, you can say, a number which is assigned to each particular ground motion or record, and peer have assigned it to uh, assigned an RSN number to each ground motion. If you know the RSN number of your ground motion, you can search from RSN number also. But basically I will be using this search parameters, these ones, to actually filter out the ground motions from this database. So the very first thing which I have to provide in the search parameters is the fault type. So there are several faulting mechanisms available in this list. You can go for strike slip, normal, reverse oblique, strike slip plus normal, strike slip plus reverse, normal plus reverse. It means that before filling this form, you have to have this information about which seismic source is governing the seismic hazard at my site. So that I can use this fault type here, I can select a right fault type to filter the ground motions from this database. So which means that you must have the information about fault type and some other things also. So let me first go through this whole form, and then I will show you an example study where I have actually selected these search parameters for a particular site. So that will give you an idea how you can proceed with that study of the seismicity of a particular area. Fault type is required, the very first thing. Second thing is magnitude, and you have to provide a range like 6,7, which means from 6 magnitude to 7 magnitude. This is my range of those ground motions. So it will, if you give this range, it will select only those ground motions which are recorded from earthquakes having a magnitude between 6 and 7. Then there are two parameters which are source to site distance parameters. One is called RJB and other is called R rupture. RJB is R joiner bore. R is basically source to site distance. JB is that the source to site distance as defined by joiner and bore, because there are several source to site distance definitions which are available in literature. So RJB is one definition. I will explain that definition later. And R rupture is also source to site distance, but it has a slightly different definition. And you have to provide a range, minimum comma maximum. So let's say I say 30 comma 50, which means 30 kilometer up to 50 kilometer is my source to site distance. So it will provide me only those ground motions which were recorded at a distance of 30 to 50 kilometers from the source which caused that particular earthquake. Similarly, R rupture also can be given. I will explain that the definition of R rupture and RJB now. But VS30 you have to provide. VS30 is a parameter for your site class. So you have to provide a range, minimum comma maximum in meter per seconds. Okay, so that VS30 will define your site class, and the ground motion which is selected, which are filtered out, they will have the same range of VS30. D5 to 95, it is the duration. significant duration of earthquake, the 5 to 95% of the energy, which means the 90% in between, should be concentrated in this duration. So you can say, let's say 30 second, comma 50 second. So it will only filter out those ground motions which will have significant duration between 30 to 50 seconds. It will not take less than 30, it will not take more than 50. And then finally you should tell that whether the ground motion should be pulse like or it should not be pulse like. So if you select only pulse like records, pulse like ground motion is a special ground motion which is expected at near fault sites. If your site is located less than 10 kilometers from a particular fault line, you can expect a pulse like ground motion. So this ground motion have one big pulse in it, and then all the other values are less compared to that pulse. So you have to select whether your site is near fault or far fault. In case of far fault, if your site is located like 50, 60, 80 kilometers from the seismic source, then you should go for no pulse like records. But if your site is less than 10 kilometers, in some guidelines it is less than 15 kilometers. In that case, you have to go for pulse like records. Any records will basically give you both pulse like as well as other ones. So this is the criteria also you have to give for as a search parameter. And then maximum number of records, maximum they can be 100, which meet these criteria. Okay, and there is no need to give all the criteria. If you leave just, if some criteria is left blank, the program will still give you the values, but it will not consider that criteria in the selection. So let's say if I say 30 to 50 same R rupture, and let's say VS30 is, let's say, 180 to 360 meter per second, and let's say that I say maximum number of records is, let's say, 20. So now I can search records. I can click on this button and it will give me 20 records which pass this criteria, search criteria. Another option is here, and it basically is asking that what are some of the options which should be used to show the response spectrum of those ground motions which are filtered out. So we say that, okay, this is default. Since we are not using the response spectrum, we are not scaling these ground motions, so we just keep this as default. Otherwise you can check what are these spectral ordinate. You can plot either H1 or H2, which means the individual horizontal components response spectrum. You can go for the SRSS of the both components. Damping ratio you can select, and whether you should there is an average spectrum also which is included in the graphic, so that should be arithmetic average or it should be geometric mean. Okay, so this we can just keep it as default because we are not going to use the spectrum to scale these ground motions. So we will be just downloading the as recorded ground motions. So I just click search records at the bottom. So when I click, it will filter out 20 ground motions which will pass that criteria. So let me directly go down and show you these ground motions. So these are the ground motions. So see, there are 21 ground motions which it filtered out and that pass that criteria. If you want to see, you can check here that most all of them have a magnitude between 6 and 7, because I have given a magnitude range between 6 and 7. So here you can see all of them have the magnitude, all 21 ground motions have a magnitude between 6 and 7. Since I have selected fault type as all types, so there is no special faulting mechanism which is filtered out. So all strike slip, reverse, and some other ones are also included in this selection. If I selected only strike slip, then all should have only strike slip. RJB and R rupture is in the same range which we have given. VS30 is in the same range, and the file names at the end you should know. When you download these ground motions, these will be their file names. H1 acceleration file, which means the first horizontal component, will have a file name, this one, and it will have the extension .82. H2 also will have the extension .82, and vertical component also will have .82. So which means the acceleration files will have the extension .82, and these will be their names. Vertical component will have up in its name. I have just clicked on one ground motion, so let me go down. So the vertical component will have up in its name. The two horizontal components have 180 and 270 in their names, which means they are 90° apart. Sometimes it is 075 and 345. Okay, they are also exactly opposite. 0 and 90. Okay, so which means that two horizontal components are always 90° apart, and then there is a vertical component also. These are the two options available for downloading this data. One option is that you only download the metadata and spectra, and the second option is that you download the traces also. Traces means that the actual files of ground motion which contain the ground motion data. So basically we should go for this second option, download time series records with metadata, which means the basic information plus the spectra of these ground motion also, plus the acceleration, displacement and velocity time histories also. So if I click on this second option, these ground motions will be downloaded as a zip file. Okay, so for example, I click here and it is saying that you are downloading the unscaled process as recorded displacement, velocity and acceleration trace files. So these are as recorded and unscaled, and when you click OK, it will just start downloading the zip file. So I have already downloaded some example ground motion, so I will show you directly that zip file. So now it is downloading these 20 ground motions you can see here. And if I go up, I can see their spectrum also. Currently it is showing only the spectrum of the one which is highlighted. But if I just don't click on any particular ground motion, then it will show me the ground motion for all the spectrum, for all the ground motions, spectrum for all the ground motions. And it will give me the spectrum for corresponding to this settings. So here these are the unscaled spectra for all ground motions. All the gray lines are basically the SRSS spectrum of the two horizontal components. Solid black line is their mean value, and these dotted black lines are actually one standard deviation plus mean and one standard deviation minus mean minus one standard deviation basically. So basically this is showing the variation of these selected ground motions, variation in the spectrum. I can also select the axis setting. Currently they are log. I can click linear and then it will show me the spectrum in the linear scale. So this is linear scale. So you can see that solid black line is the mean of all the 21 ground motions, and gray lines, thin gray lines are the SRSS of the individual ground motions, and then you also have the mean plus one standard deviation and mean minus one standard deviation. So now let me show you the downloaded file, and then after that I will also show you an example study that how you can finalize these search parameters, because this is the most important part. You must know these values for your site if you want to download correct ground motions. So let me show you the downloaded ground motions. This is the zip file which is downloaded, and now I have extracted that already. So this is the folder. Now this folder will have one Excel file which contains the spectrum and all the metadata for those ground motions. What were the, for example, station name, what were the event, what was the magnitude, all that information is in this Excel file. And then after that, there are the trace files, which are the time history value files. Now what I have done is now that I have selected the ground motion files for one particular ground motion, and the name of the default format of the name of these peer ground motions is that they start with RSN number, record sequence number. Each ground motion have a different RSN number. Then it is the event name, Lander's earthquake, then the information about station, and then the information about the component, whether it is vertical component or horizontal component or what. So let's see the very first file, which is rsn 886 underscore landers underscore plc 000.82. So which means that this is the first horizontal component of acceleration. Then the second file is .dt2, which means this is displacement time history. And then there is a VT2 also. This is velocity time history. So you have downloaded the velocity and displacement time histories also. So which means that these three first files are basically the horizontal component, the acceleration, displacement and velocity of the first horizontal component. Then the next three files are having a different file name. It has 0 but it has 90. So it means that these three files are the acceleration, displacement and velocity for the second horizontal component of this ground motion. Similarly, the next three files are actually the vertical component, acceleration, displacement and velocity. Okay. So which means one ground motion have a total of 9 files, 3 acceleration components, 2 horizontal and 1 vertical, 3 displacement components and 3 velocity components. So we will be using in our time history analysis 2 horizontal components, which means this first file .82 and this one which is .82. These are the 2 horizontal components which we will be using in our time history analysis. So we have to take those 2 files out, and then these can be then modified or applied with the scale factor. So let's open one of these files. One thing is that all of the ground motion formats, sometimes it is .dat, some ground motion databases when you download it will be .dat file. Sometimes it will be .acc file, .acceleration. So there will be different formats for ground motion files, but all of them can be opened in Notepad. So you can use Notepad to open any file, any ground motion file. So let's first open this first file with Notepad and try to understand its format. So let me just open this file with Notepad, and it will show me the ground motion data. So this is the first file, the first horizontal component of the first ground motion. First few lines, maybe 3 or 4 lines, give us the information about this particular earthquake data. So it says that it is peer NGA strong motion database record from Lander's earthquake, which occurred on this date at this location, and acceleration time series in units of G. So the units of this file are G units, which means that you have to multiply it with whatever units of G in your working units to convert them into acceleration values. If you are working in meter and second, then multiply all these values with 9.8. Number of points is 3250 and delta t is 0.02 seconds, which means that all of these values are directly acceleration values equally spaced at 0.02 seconds. So there is no time column in this, only acceleration values, and it means that this is the acceleration value at t equal to 0. This is the acceleration value at t equal to 0.02, then 0.04, 0.06, 0.08, and then again the next line. Okay, so you have to read them line by line. Each line has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 acceleration values, then the next line, and the total number of points is 3250. So which means that you can multiply this 3250 with 0.02 to get the total duration of ground motion. So total duration of ground motion will be multiplication of the delta t with the number of points. Okay, so this whole data you can see here. This can be imported in any program to apply a scale factor or to perform time history analysis. So similarly, you can open any file in Notepad. It will have similar format. So this was all about using peer ground motion database for downloading a particular ground motion or a set of ground motions. These are, I think, 100 ground motions which I downloaded, and then later I just selected maybe 7 ground motions or 11 ground motions for the purpose of time history analysis. One thing which I wanted to explain was this difference between R rupture and RJB. So let's see that difference. So R rupture is defined as the closest distance to rupturing fault plane. So R rupture is very simple definition, that you can have the closest distance. For example, in this figure, if this is your fault plane, if this is your rupture plane, then perpendicular distance from that plane to your side is R rupture. Okay, this is reverse or normal faulting mechanism. But if you are going for example, strike slip fault, in that case the faulting plane will be vertical, because strike slip faulting is that two pieces of land are just sliding past each other. So in that case the rupture plane will be vertical. In that case, R rupture will be from top of the vertical plane, the rupture plane, up to your site. So R rupture is very clear. It is the closest distance to rupturing fault plane. If the rupture is inclined, then perpendicular to that plane. If the rupture is vertical, in that case, from the top of that vertical plane up to the site. So this will be your R rupture. And RJB has a specific meaning, R Joyner Boor, and it is defined as the closest horizontal distance from site to the projection of the surface rupture, which means that first you project the rupture plane on the surface, and the closest horizontal distance uh, to that projection from your site is the RJB. Let me explain that. Uh, First, in case of this example, that let's say that this is your foot wall and this is your hanging wall side, and this inclined plane is basically your rupture plane. You just project up that rupture plane. If you project up, which means that you make a projection of the rupture plane to your surface, it will become this shaded area. Okay, your shaded area. So this shaded area is, again I repeat, it is the projection of the rupture plane to your surface. Now look the whole thing from top now, and let's say that your site is on the foot wall side. then the closest distance, which means the closest distance from that projection, will become your RJB. So this distance will be your RJB. If your site is located on the hanging wall side, let's say here, then this inclined closest distance is your RJB. And the third possibility is that your site is located inside the projection, inside the shaded area. In that case, you should take RJB equal to 0. Okay. So this is an example of RJB, that how RJB is defined. Again, I repeat, it is the closest distance from your site to the projection of the surface rupture. Projection on the surface rupture basically. So in case of strike slip fault, RJB will become the closest distance to the surface projection of seismic rupture, because if the rupture plane is not inclined, you may not have its projection on top. Okay, if the rupture plane is vertical like this, in case of strike slip fault, then the projection on the surface will be only this point. Okay, and from that point to your site will become your RJB. It will not be a shaded area, it will be just one point on the surface or one line on the surface, and the closest distance from that line or that point is RJB for your site. Similarly, here also, again, this is a strike slip example. So whatever point on the surface you have directly above the rupture, this will become your RJB. Okay. And similarly, if you see the reverse or normal fault from one side, then this whole thing, this whole line, this whole area basically on the surface will become the projection of the rupture. So the closest distance from your side to the projection will become this one, which is your RJB. So this is the difference between RJB and R rupture. So you have to keep that in mind while actually uh, giving or selecting values for your site for the purpose of selection of ground motions. So this I have explained already, that the program not only will select ground motions, it will also plot the spectrum, and if you have given any target spectrum, it will also plot that one. Okay, currently I just use no scaling, so therefore there was no red line in my graph. Otherwise it will also plot the target spectrum, and it will then can apply the scale factor also. So these are the download options I have explained in demonstration also. When you click on this message will be there, and when you click OK, the zip file will be downloaded, which you can extract and check the files. Before going to scaling and spectral matching of ground motions, that how you should modify now these ground motions before using in the time history analysis, I want to explain one study which I just carried out recently to select ground motions for a real project. So I want to explain that, which will give you an idea that what things you should keep in mind while actually selecting these ground motions.